So, you want to learn how to jump on a mountain bike. You want to show off in front of all your friends and take all the jumps and look good while doing it. Jumping is probably the most fun thing you can do out on the trails on your mountain bike. But you have to learn the right techniques first. Otherwise, you might just see yourself going to the hospital. Now, before you learn how to jump, there are a few things that I would recommend you do first. First thing is definitely become comfortable on your local trails and on your specific mountain bike. Then I would also recommend that you guys learn how to do a bunny hop because you will be using the bunny hop technique when you are doing the jumps. I do have a video on how to bunny hop on my channel, so go check that out if you are interested. The last thing I would recommend you guys do is practice how to ride small little drops, like a pavement for example. Practice how to land with both wheels equally at the same time on the ground. So, once you reckon you've got those things sorted out, now it's a great time to learn how to jump. To keep things pretty simple, I want to divide the jump into two different techniques. First one being the bunny hop technique, and the second one being just basically riding off of a small drop or a curb and trying to keep your wheels level. I think let's start off with the second technique, the easier one, and then we can get into the bunny hop stuff later. This technique applies to the more flat jumps out there on the trails, not the ones that have pretty steep lips and landings. Those ones take a bit more technique to master. I'm talking about the ones that you can kind of just float over and keep your wheels level when you land, and then you should be good. These types of jumps tend to just need a little bit more speed and not so much technique. You kind of just ride over it, as if you're riding off a pavement or a curb. So, what you are going to want to do is, right before your front wheel goes airborne, you guys are going to want to lean back and pull up on the handlebars. Basically, the same as if you were to ride off of a curb, to just try and keep your wheels level in the air, and when you land, more importantly. Obviously, if you guys do have a dropper post, put it down, and remember to bend your elbows, bend your knees, and be in a ready position. Yo, guys, it is really not complicated. It is pretty similar to riding off of drops, guys. So definitely go practice riding off of drops, pavements, curbs, whatever you can find. And just practice getting both wheels landing on the ground at the same time. Maybe front wheel a little bit first or back wheel a little bit first. That's not an issue, but don't be too front wheel heavy or too back wheel heavy. You guys got to find some sort of comfortable spot in between. Once again, you just need some good speed and you just float over the jump. Nice and flowy, keep the wheels as level as you can, and you should be good to go. Naturally, your knees and your elbows will act as suspension when you land, so no need to practice this. Let's get started with technique number one. As I explained earlier in the video, this one is a little bit more difficult and does take quite a bit more technique to master, but don't worry about it, I will cover everything with you guys, so keep watching. This technique involves preload, followed by pulling up on the handlebars pretty hard, and then tilting your bike forwards in the air because your bike will be pretty back wheel heavy in the air as you just pulled up and preloaded. So you're going to tilt your bike forward and then land on the landing of the jump as smooth as you possibly can. The preload happens right before you take the actual jump. So, approaching the jump, your elbows are going to be bent, your knees are going to be bent, you're going to be nice and low on the bike, and then as the gradient of the trail changes, which is the lip, your suspension is naturally going to compress. And then as your front wheel goes airborne, you guys are going to pull up on the handlebars, releasing the compressed suspension, and this is going to give you guys a nice pop out of the jump. Then I just want to touch on the pulling up part of the jump. This is very similar to the bunny hop, guys. I definitely recommend you guys go check out that video of mine and learn exactly how to bunny hop before you attempt this. So the pulling up technique is right after the preload, and this is going to get your front wheel nice and high in the air. Your bike is going to be at quite an angle, guys, and then your back wheel should follow. And this leads me to the next step when you try to re-angle your bike for the landing. The re-angling of your bike happens when you're in the air and you just push your handlebars forward, as well as pulling up with your feet if you do have cleats. Otherwise, if you have flats, you basically just tilt the pedal forwards while pulling up with your shoe. This should give you enough grip to actually get your back wheel higher and leveling the bike out. Once again, guys, I went over this in detail on my How to Bunny Hop YouTube video, so definitely check that out if you guys are struggling to understand. One thing I just need to mention from my own personal experience, just as a tip for you guys, do not try and pull your back wheel up too much and too hard. Otherwise, this is going to send you straight over the bars as you land on your front wheel, straight into your hospital bed at the hospital. So please, guys, learn from my mistake and do not do that. Like everything else in life, practice makes perfect. The more time and effort you put into something, the better results you are going to see. So if you really want to learn how to jump like a boss, you need to be practicing quite often. And you will definitely get better. Just stay consistent. The more you practice, the more comfortable you are going to get, and the bigger jumps you can start doing to impress your friends. But along with bigger jumps comes bigger injuries and bigger falls. So just don't get ahead of yourself. Another tip, something that I highly recommend, if you don't have a dropper post, I definitely would say that you should adjust your saddle and put it all the way down when you are learning how to jump, because the saddle really does get in the way when you use the proper bunny hop technique. You can still get away with this with the first type of jump that I explained, where you kind of just float over the jump. But when you are doing a bit more advanced jumps, this is not really going to work out very well for you because you can't bend your knees as your saddle is in the way. If you guys are maybe still a little bit unsure or uneasy of what I've just explained and would like me to go into a bit more detail, definitely pop me a comment down below and I will think about doing a video that goes much, much more into detail. But that's going to be a bit of a longer one. And if you guys do have any other questions, doesn't even have to be related, just pop me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys and maybe even help you out with something. Now, if you perhaps found this video helpful, or maybe just even found it slightly entertaining, then definitely give it a share with one of your mountain bike friends who also might want to learn how to jump. As always, thank you guys so much for watching.